you know, let me know if there's anything wrong. But okay, we are back. We are going to do some more Malenia Mania. I'm Nate, and I'm joined by Tom and Ian. And I've switched things up a little bit, but we're going to see how this goes. I feel like I'm consistently better. Still not good enough to beat her, but we'll find out.
So we were talking before the stream. We were estimating something in the ballpark of like something on the order of 40 tries so far, 20 on streams off. Something like that.
Something like that.
That's not bad. You're much more consistently getting to the second half, which I think is the name of the game here.
At this point, for sure.
Yeah. And I was watching your dodges in the like prelims here. Like much better timed. Like you're dodging like a fucking Jedi right now. Looking good. Yeah, like right there, on point.
Oh, I got the interrupt. I don't know how I got that one.
Oh, that was weird.
The consistency of the interrupt is what really gets me.
It's weird. I guess it depends on where you hit her in the animation, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, because right there, no interrupt. She's got super armor, but she doesn't have hyper armor, so you are doing damage still.
How long has it been since you fought her last?
I mean, I warmed up a little bit before the stream, which is to say I kind of dicked around a little bit. But I probably haven't played this game at all in at least 4 or 5 days. What's up, Fish?
Hey, Fish.
You know, I like that you somehow have 41,000 souls on you, but your souls are also laying on the ground somewhere.
Because I went and got Bloodhound Step, I think. Oh,
how many
fuck.
souls we got in those?
Fuck. Oh, man. I tried Bloodhound Step, but my timing for it is completely unknown to me.
Doesn't count. Mulligan.
Mulligan. Yeah. Do-overs. So I guess I have 41k that I could bother to pick up, but honestly, I don't care.
You'll get a ton for beating her. You don't need to pick those up.
Yeah, because I'm like, I think I'm above 100k now per level. So, yeah. Like, it's a nice start, but it's not really worth my time.
You could farm that in, like, half a run of the Halleck tree.
Yeah, that's true. I am. There we go.
I haven't used one of those, whatever bird feet things that increases your soul for rune acquisition, too. I need to start doing that.
Oh, really? I didn't know there was things like that. I mean, I guess that makes sense because there's stuff like that in Souls, so...
You find a few naturally along the way, but you can make them too if you get the recipe. Just gotta hunt birds is the problem.
Fish is on Malenia too.
Oh wow! So, all right, man. Race to the finish.
You guys can commiserate.
Yeah, really.
So clearly, we weren't lying. People weren't lying when they said she's the hardest boss.
She's real. Game. Yeah, she's real hard.
It's definitely a difficulty spike in a game that's already relatively difficult. So, how do you feel about difficulty spikes in Dark Souls? You guys like offended by them?
No.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Is what I've noticed.
I feel like I'm not doing as much damage when I was Fire Elemental. I'm sure there's. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't buff at all.
I don't think I have a problem fundamentally with difficulty spikes, especially on optional bosses.
There we go. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if it's optional bosses, like, you go ahead and lay it on thick. I don't, like, it doesn't really matter. Oh, yeah.
Good distance. See, this is where Bloodhound Step can help you. Yeah, pop that shit.
Oh, crap.
One more time. That's what you needed.
Yeah. All right, let's just...
Yeah,
that wasn't too bad.
When she's doing that, and you're gonna use Bloodhound Step, go ahead and spam that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think about Bloodhound Step. To get in and out of the
waterfall. It doesn't use a lot of FP. You can spam it and not worry about a lot of cost.
Yeah, I do like that.
Oh man, I didn't think you were gonna get that one.
Hey, Danny's in the chat. What's up,
Danny?
Man?
Punish.
Danny, I think this is try number 2 of the night.
Of the night, yes.
Not been keeping the score of how many tries total.
Oh, I'm not, I don't want to know.
Fish says he's kind of using Rivers of Blood to beat her. I mean, you're
Yeah, it's kind of the meta. I mean, like we said before, she is weak to bleed, and Rivers of Blood is kind of like the meta bleed weapon. So
that's why
it
I
makes
haven't used
sense.
that or Moonveil. Well, mostly because I don't have the stats for it. But I got him, and I was like, all right, cool. I will put him in the vault.
Fun weapons.
2 breaks.
I prefer not to use katanas. Generally, the katana style.
I like the Iaito in 1. I thought the Iaito was a nice like balance. Like if you want a good quality weapon that focuses more on dex, they're nice. But I kind of get that too. I try not to use them because I feel like they're kind of not
I
even
think
like
they're too meta. I think they're OP.
Yeah.
Like,
there we go.
Danny, for tonight, this is try number 2. But overall, it's been
all right.
Probably the double. Somewhere.
So we were saying this before, Danny, before you joined. We were thinking somewhere on the order of like 40 total tries for Nate over the last 3 weeks.
I would say between 30 and 40. Yeah.
Because he said he did 20 off stream, and then he's probably done roughly 20
really?
now on stream.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was way better. I survived that. Holy crap!
Well done. Did you? I didn't see. Did you use?
I was spamming Bloodhound Step.
Yeah, man. Get those iframes on you. Yeah, get out for that. Punish that.
I'm having a hard time recognizing her stuff right now because it's just.
Are cool touch.
There we go.
You got lots of heals. You're good. Be patient in this phase.
I like that even though
it's just still research. So
her theme is rot, but she has a lot of like nature themes, like waterfowl dance is the name of a move. She's got butterflies. A lot of flowers around. It's kind of neat.
Nice punish. Yeah, she takes so much more damage in this phase. You can be patient in this one.
What is this?
Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't think I've seen this one.
No, this is a shitty move. Yep. Here it is again. She follows up with the waterfowl. What an asshole.
Damn it.
Oh,
you know what it is? Is that as I'm using the Bloodhound Step, the camera keeps changing angle, so I keep dodging at a circumferential like angle. I don't actually get any farther away from her.
Are you using like pushing in a direction on the stick while you do it?
Yeah, why?
So if you do just a neutral dodge with the Bloodhound Step, it will go towards her or around her back.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so if you want to go in a direction, you have to hold the direction pretty like deliberately. The other thing, I mentioned this before last time, I think, when I was talking about how I prefer Quick Step, actually. That's the one drawback of Bloodhound Step, is that the directionality is actually pretty difficult to control. So because you dodge so far, I've often like just killed myself using Bloodhound Step because you dodge so far in a direction that you didn't want to dodge in, and end up falling off a ledge or something. So that's the one drawback I really find of Bloodhound Step. But it is cool that if you do a neutral, it kind of by default dodges around the back.
Oh man, that was like 2 back-to-back breaks.
Little break.
I should heal.
Nice. Probably. But he doesn't. As he says, as he goes in for the heavy, I should heal.
Fuck!
We got Danny in the chat.
Don't forget it.
Ian, what's new with Destiny? You've been talking about Destiny recently. I have not kept up.
Yeah.
Any of that.
So obviously, for those who don't know, Destiny is going to be releasing their next expansion at the end of the month.
Lightfall.
Lightfall. They're making a lot of big changes. They've already made some big overhauls to a lot of their like RPG systems and armor builds, like build crafting and stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to it because they are making at least one change that is going to really benefit my play style, which I think is good. And you know, I've been playing Destiny recently partly because they finally have a weapon in the game that I enjoy using,
which is
good. This season they released a SMG that has pretty good AoE capabilities. So that's a lot of fun.
God damn, that was a really rough run. I did not do well. My timing was all messed up.
SMG is in like what's like the
submachine gun.
Oh, it's not like a primary. It's I forget what the weapon slots are.
It's a primary. Yeah, it's a
primary power and heavy, I believe.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, yeah, it's primary special and
yeah, you're right.
But you can run any combination of that you want. If you can do double primary, you can do double special if you want, and then
that's
one
right.
heavy.
Yeah, it's the ammo type.
But I'm going back to it obviously just to prep a little bit for Lightfall. Not that I need to prepare for anything. I never do anything like for real in that game because in order to do anything for real in Destiny, you have to have a clan. You have to have like a group of people to do it with.
Yeah.
Which even among our Discord server and like the Arbitrary Hero channel, I will never have that. And the reason isn't because there aren't enough people. The reason is really because in order to do like a raid, you kind of need a Saturday, like a full Saturday, to run through it, to devote to it, like take breaks, eat food, and you need everyone on the team to have a full Saturday to devote to it. It's like, I find it hard to believe that that's ever going to happen. So
it's basically the D&D problem.
Yeah.
Like the real enemy of D&D is schedules.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, everybody wants to play, and everybody can find 2, 3, 4 hours in their day to do it, but they can't do it all in the same day. So, are you real?
Nope, I could not. I tried doing Bloodhound Step, and it just set me up the worst way possible.
I mean, if you're not liking Bloodhound Step, you don't have to use that. You can also, if you want to try, you can do Quick Step, which is what I prefer.
Maybe that's what I do.
There's actually a lot of technical reasons why I prefer Quick Step personally. I won't bore you guys with them unless you're interested, but I personally prefer Quick Step.
I mean, it's fine. I'll try it a couple more times. Maybe I'm not quick to throw the technique away just because I don't know how to do it yet.
Bloodhound Step is super viable. I mean, here's the thing: it was recently nerfed, like a couple of months ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so it's not as powerful as it used to be. But it's still way better than the regular dodge. Like
last stream, you said you switched to regular Quick Step from Bloodhound Step, right?
Yeah, I much prefer Quick Step personally, especially for like the way that I play. I think it lends itself much better to a really aggressive playstyle. Gives me more control, and ultimately, I won't go into the details of like how Elden Ring determines what iframes you get out of what animation, because it's different for every type of animation, and even in the direction that you dodge, you get different iframes from it. So in some cases, the Quick Step has better iframes than Bloodhound, and in other cases, Bloodhound has better iframes than Quick Step. In the end, I think, all things considered, Quick Step actually has the edge on iframes. So,
fuck.
Overall,
My timing's
it's
not so great.
Bloodhound Step is really more like a utility for making distance, in my opinion, or getting in and then getting out.
God damn it. I was really hoping I could just make some distance and heal, but I did the wrong direction.
Are you trying to Bloodhound Step out?
No, I was just trying to dodge roll out, but I forgot, like, she doesn't track where you initially were when she does that move. She actually just keeps tracking you and will go as far as she needs to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But Cindy, yeah, so I am quote unquote preparing for Lightfall, but again, I'm not like preparing. I don't have to prepare or anything. It's like I'm not going to be doing a raid anytime soon. But also, I think it's going to be more fun for me to play personally. So I'm looking forward to playing more because it will be more fun for me. Because some of the things that they're adding are going to make my playstyle more fun and more viable, which is great. The only thing that I've been thinking recently is that I actually don't think Destiny's a very good game.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think on the whole, like if I was weighting everything equally, I actually think it's like a 6 out of 10. I think it is really poor in a lot of ways. Like I think the fact that it doesn't have a devoted single player mode of any kind, like it just ignores single player altogether, is really lame. I think its puzzle design and the way it directs or doesn't direct its players as to like how to do quests and what quests to do next and where to go next. It's like it's so Byzantine. It's to the point of like new players, it's like not even worth it for new players to get started. It's got up until recently, it's had like literally 12 different currencies, like which is absurd. it's every time they do a hotfix, it seems to go down for a day.
That's MMOs as a whole.
Yeah, it's just like, you know,
Fantasy
I think I think the boss designs are lame. Like the boss battles, I think are lame. I was describing this to you before, Nate, when we were talking about Monster Hunter. But ultimately, what it ends up amounting to is they're all basically damage sponges, and they all have giant AOE's that send you flying across the map, like get off moves. And that's mostly it. Destiny for the last since 2017 has basically recycled all of the same sort of mechanics, like grab an orb, deposit the orb, bring down the boss's shields, lay on the damage phase. The damage phase ends, do it all over again. Like that's sort of the cycle. So I think overall it lacks imagination. It's not particularly difficult in terms of like being successful at combat. If it's difficult, it's because you need more players than you have, or because you aren't running the meta, which I also think is a bad design. It's one of the reasons why I have problems with Elden, because Elden Ring sometimes is unbalanced when it doesn't need to be. I think Destiny is super unbalanced in a lot of ways. Like if you're not running the meta, it's almost not worth playing in certain circumstances, like endgame content. They've got this champion mechanic is really dumb, which is going to be improved in the next season because, like, it forces you to not play the style that you want to. The fact that the Destiny designers are like, you're going to play our way or no way at all is really lame. So, well, yeah, I think it's actually not a very good game, empirically. But here's the thing, though. It succeeds so hard in the most important aspect of the game for me that it absolutely, like, kind of covers all those sins.
Which is game feel?
Game feel, and yeah, the combat is just fun to do. Like, to walk around, to aim, to shoot the guns, to use the weapons. Like, it just feels really good to play. The gameplay is super tight. So, like, to me, obviously, you guys know this. I weight that like 90%. Everything else is like 10%. I think Destiny kind of falls out flat on its face with almost all the other 10%. The other places where it's good, like I think it's a gorgeous game. I think it looks great. I think the production quality is fantastic. I think it falls down in pretty much every other way except gameplay, and gameplay is really all that matters to me. So I think it's fun. Why? So there are a few games that are like that. They're like so shitty outside of the gameplay mechanic, but the gameplay mechanic or something else about it is just so like immeasurably good that it sort of makes up for all the other stuff. So Destiny is one of those games for me that it's like on points it's really just not a very good game, but I will continue to come back to it because it's just enjoyable to have my hands on.
You think you'll feel the same way about Elden Ring or any of the Souls games after some time?
So it's definitely so I sort of feel that way about Sekiro, except I think everything about Sekiro is like all the bad things I said about Destiny are kind of the opposite on Sekiro. I think Sekiro succeeds in so many other ways apart from the combat. But the reason why I keep coming back to Sekiro is because the combat is, in my opinion, still the best that's ever been made in a third party, like a third person action adventure game. So that's why so it has that Destiny quality where the combat mechanic is so goddamn good. I will just log in like for 30 minutes a day just to do a fight because it's fun. As far as Elden Ring, I would say it's been more fun for me recently because I've changed my build up to the quick step build, and that's changed things quite a bit for me. It's made it faster and a little more strategic for me.
So would you say that Destiny feels good as a game, but is wrongly utilized as a game?
I think so. I think there are game design aspects of it that are, I don't want to say it's lazy, like, because clearly they put down a ton of content a lot. They work hard in the game. They do this weekend at Bungie releases with community engagement all the time. Like, it's not because they're lazy. It's just
I didn't say underutilized. I said wrongly utilized.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they, I think they've got such good combat mechanics that they don't take enough advantage of. Although I also think that's partly because it's a first-person shooter at heart. And if you think about all the first-person shooters you've ever played, they're all kind of similar in that way. They're not like technically challenging the way that Sekiro is technically challenging, or
it's not in the design. It's not inherently.
Yeah. There's no parries. You know what I mean? Like, there's no timing windows that like you have to have quick reactions. It's much more about like placement on the map and efficient execution of headshots and like getting crits and stuff like that, which has its own place in terms of like execution and stuff. But for me, it's not as athletic and dynamic. So probably it's because it is an FPS, and that's just the nature of FPS.
I really fucked this up.
Yeah, I think you're right, Danny. I do think as an RPG, it's gotten way better. Like, it's actually enjoyable to do build crafting, and I think that's one of the things it's going to get a lot better at in Lightfall. I think they're making big improvements on that side. So I'm looking forward to like min-maxing my build a little bit more. That's one of the things. Like, one of my biggest complaints about Destiny is that they are so steadfast against you letting you play the way you want to play and be viable. Like, if you want to play end game really challenging content, first of all, you have to play a certain way because there's champions and there's different types of champions, and you have to equip certain mods to beat those champions. Otherwise, you really can't beat them at all. And those mods only slot in on certain types of weapons every season. So if that mod is only applicable to an SMG and you don't like using SMGs, well, tough. Like, you got to use an SMG, which really sucks. So Lightfall is going to improve on that. You're not going to have to do that anymore, and you can play sort of your way. You can build your character the way you like to play and play your way, which is what I've been wanting to do forever. So there you go. That's how I feel about Destiny. It's actually a strangely bad game, but it's also it's also like better than any other game in the industry at this one thing.
How many hours have you put into it now at this point across?
So that's a good question. So I was looking at it the other day. It's kind of embarrassing, not the number, but the way I achieved that number. So it came out in 2017. The only reason I started playing is because I got it for free, it bundled in as part of my. I bought a graphics card, so I got it for free as part of the graphics card purchase. So
and then I pushed you to do it.
And then you pushed me to play it, so I gave it a shot. And I got roped in by the great gameplay. Still hated everything else about it because all the things that I said are still true and were true back then. But I've been playing it completely solo, basically, except for that one dungeon that we did a while ago. Everything else has been completely solo, and I've got 1,300 hours since 2017.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's entirely down to what I've done. Like 90% of that is me just dropping into the open world and just killing red bars. Like,
yeah, it's just kind of a bubblegum game. It's like, I don't need to actually think. I just like the feel.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not achieving anything. I'm not like grinding. I'm not getting new weapons. Oftentimes I'm not even doing bounties or anything like that. I'm just going in to click some heads. And that's it.
That's interesting. I kind of like that idea of just like being able to drop into it and being like, yeah, there's all this stuff to do, but I'm just kind of cool with just chilling back and doing whatever.
Yeah, so the reason I don't do it is partly because a lot of it requires multiplayer, so that's one. And that's a whole issue all by itself. Sometimes, like, I want to do multiplayer, but we don't have people. Other times, and this is more often the case, I just don't want to play with people. Like, I want to do a strike on my own. I don't want other players in there with me. I want to get the kills myself. Like, trying to do bounties with other people in the strike is a pain in the ass. Because, like, I need to get SMG kills. You know what I mean?
Not, go to a strike entrance? I don't know how this works in the overworld.
Yeah, so you can't do a basic playlist strike without it being match made. So there will always be two other people in there with you. The only way to do a strike on your own is to do like a nightfall, and those are not designed to be done on your own. Like most of those, especially like GM nightfalls, Grandmasters, you can't. I mean, you can, but it's also like not super fun. You have to do meta, you have to do tricks, you gotta like do weird shit. It's not designed for one player to do it. So the only way to do one player is to go into the version of it that's clearly designed not to do one player.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which
Cheryl,
if
we know the audio is a little wonky, but we really kind of still experimenting with the
Yeah, and you
balance.
got a new mic. It's not a volume issue. It's like it's weird.
Yeah.
It has like a weird like chunkiness to it. It's like it's like almost like it has a limiter on it, and it's like I don't know.
play around with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not
Like
sure
it's-
if you change any setup like in Discord or
fuck.
anything, but I can understand you. It's just like when it gets to a certain like limit, it's not cutting out. It just sort
It's
of
just it's like blowing the mic out.
yeah.
Is it peaking or is it like noise gated?
I think it's like peaking.
Yeah, it's not
Just-
cutting you off. Like you're still talking, but like the clarity of your voice is like going away. If it
How's this? Is that any better?
you're quieter.
Fuck.
We'll go with this for a bit. Keep letting
that
us
is-
know.
Yeah, that is better. I just think Nate might have to turn you up on the stream when you get a chance.
Yeah, let's see if I can turn up a little bit.
Yeah, the quality is much better. Like now I can actually hear you. Like the definition of your words kind of just like muddled. But now
Yeah,
it's-
Cheryl, keep commenting if anything has improved or gotten worse. Let us know.
thank you, Cheryl.
God damn it! This fucking follow-up. In fact, that she can pivot that attack on a dime. Unless you have dodged the very last second, she will just follow you with it all the way down.
It was a good
But
run.
not that far.
Yeah,
Ugh.
there's like a little bit like wobble to it. It was interesting. I can recognize the sound. I just can't think of like what the allegory would be, like what it sounds like. But it's better now.
I wonder, what if I do this?
I thought maybe it was like not like an input sensitivity thing, but like the opposite of that, like a
I'm gonna try
like-
this.
like if the physical gain on it was high, but like Discord's input volume was normal, maybe it was like.
Wonder
Yeah,
if this
yeah,
is
sure. I was
better.
thinking it sounds
That's
better
way
now.
yeah, it sounds way better.
All right, try this for a bit. See if this works.
There it is.
Thank you, Cheryl. This is very helpful, actually.
Mhm.
What kind of mic is it?
It's like a podcast mic. It's like a, if you know about the Shure SM7B, it's like similar to that. So it's
Oh,
a dynamic
okay.
mic.
I do know about Shure mics. I know this gets
Yeah.
recommended a lot.
The only reason I have it is because I use the same mic for work, like teleconferences, as I do for my gaming PC. And every time I have to go back and forth, I have to like switch the cord and I have to actually physically connect it from the different computers. This mic has two different connections, so I can just leave it connected and never have to change it. So that's the main reason.
Ah, okay. Interesting. It's got two connections.
So one, it's a USB-C, and the other connection is XLR. So I have not had an opportunity to test it really, because I'd have to do like recordings and shit to do it. So, but anyway, that's my diatribe on Destiny. There you have it.
Your opinion has been heard.
It's been heard. Yeah. Boy, I've got. a
Yeah,
lot of
I do agree. Destiny has a long-standing like issue. I have a long-standing issue is like the missions all fall under like one of three categories: stand here while your ghost hacks the thing, or stand here while your ghost hacks the thing, or stand here while your ghost hacks the thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it all is. And again, it's forgivable for me because shooting shit in Destiny is fucking a good time.
I posted the link a couple minutes ago. I guess Joe Blackburn is the game director for Destiny. I was just looking at it now. He posted a letter to the community that I know Bungie's really good about. It's supposed to be about Lightfall and the year ahead.
Yeah, they've
Saying
been
the,
like they've been dropping. So they always do TWABs this week at this week at Bungie.
yeah.
Every week, but they've been doing like hotfix notes and like letters to the community like 4 times a week recently.
They
so-
are the one thing I will say that I do like about Bungie is at least that they are, regardless of the game feel, the amount that they interact with and like seem like they really do listen to the community. I know it's not 100% perfect, but the fact that they've got the physical evidence to show that they are talking to the community and they are trying to,
I think
communicate,
I think they.
peel back the curtain is really good.
I could be wrong about this just because it's just anecdotal, but from what I've seen, it seems like they kind of lead the industry, the live service sector of the industry in terms of like communicating with their community.
Oh, 100%, absolutely, and that's
I
not
don't
to
think
say
anybody
anything
else
about
does
other
as well as
games.
they do.
Yeah, Destiny does it in a way that seems very like down to earth too. It's not just like a like, you know, the black box is speaking now. It's kind of like, hey, we all work here. You know, we're not gonna take just random shit from people, but we do. You know, we want the negative feedback.
Yeah, they're definitely thoughtful for sure.
Yeah.
Nate, you're getting to the second phase pretty consistently, man.
Yeah, I knew I was getting more or less.
Cheryl says,
Not too bad.
I wanted to ask, since the first episode came out, how do you like Blue Alley? Does anyone know it? I don't know
Oh
what Blue
fuck!
Alley
I
is.
Too early,
really
okay.
fucked that up.
It's too early. That's okay.
Blue Alley. What is? Either of y'all know what Blue Alley is?
Oh, it's a D&D place.
Yeah,
It's where we're playing D&D. Fucking
yeah,
fuck.
Max's Mythic Mercenaries
I
location.
have not heard of that. Lies hidden in the
Yeah.
heart of Waterdeep. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's this kind of mini dungeon that we're running. Well, I guess it's not even really a mini dungeon. It's just a small dungeon.
Oh,
Sprocket
Danny, are you
um,
in it? Oh yeah, I guess it would be if you're on Max's Mad Mythic Mercenaries.
Yeah.
Shit.
God, this takes for fucking ever. Like, I have to go through the whole first phase to get to the second phase where I'm still learning all my ins and
Yeah,
outs.
although you got rotted that time, and you still got her down to like a quarter of her health off. So
Yeah,
I think you
yeah.
got this.
I mean,
Honestly, the real trick is getting to the
what the
second
fuck?
phase enough to learn it, and I think you're there now. So
fuck.
all that counts.
I really fucked this run up. I really did. I'm I
she
don't know.
does
I just had this weird like lapse in attention at the very
yeah, 'cause
beginning.
she's got big startup frames on that command grab.
Yeah. God,
Are
this
you
is
both,
rough.
how are you both feeling about the Max's Mad Mythic stuff? Things going good, going bad?
I mean,
Anyone
we're
vibe check?
about to finish that dungeon, I think, in our next session here,
Mhm.
which I think when we finish the dungeon, he's going to let us level up.
Nate's having a hell of a time. He's like,
Yeah, I had
laying
I had a
waste.
pretty good fight.
Hmm.
Thanks to a very obscure, I wouldn't say optional rule, it's just an obscure rule that not everybody uses.
leaving.
Ooh, hang on. Yeah, cleaving is awesome, especially for my character.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Although-
cleaving. I was like, I've heard of cleaving. Well, it's funny because there's a lot of rules people assume to be are like.
Oh fuck.
The,
God, I
the
really
actual
fucked this
rules
thing
that
up.
are actually optional. Like
My
you
brain's
know,
still
that are
short-circuiting on the button layout sometimes.
Help me understand the logic behind the cleaving mechanic, though, because at least in the way we're using it, it doesn't. So basically, the way it works, as I understand it, is if you do an attack on a character on an enemy that has full health, and you zero them out on on that one attack,
Yeah.
anything that's left over gets
transferred,
to someone who's next
uh,
to them. Right.
God damn.
So the thing I don't understand is, and I guess I have a theory about this.
Mhm.
What I don't understand is why does it only apply if it's from no damage to dead? Like, what if it's why doesn't it apply if they?
So cleaving, I think, means that you
is it just
cleave
a
the.
nerf cleaving because it's too powerful.
Well, there's that, but I also think that it's cleaving implies that you're like going through the body of that person and kind of, and then going straight through the next person. And if you cleave anything in half, it's dead.
So it's like it has to be a one shot.
It has to be a one shot. And for my particular build, because I have Great Weapon Master, that's pretty easy to do with my weapon.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
my build.
The cleaving mechanic is cool. I just think it's sort of like the bleed mechanic in Dark Souls, where it doesn't work the way you think it would. Because like in Dark Souls, the bleed mechanic is even if you block, you still get bleed effect applied to you. Even if you're blocking with like a metal shield, you still get bleed effect applied to you. In this, it's like in universe, it wouldn't make sense for it to only work from full health to dead, but it seems to me that if it didn't work that way, because the way that your character, Nate, is laying waste to everybody, it probably would be way OP.
Yeah.
Although
I think
my character could benefit greatly from it.
well,
'Cause
so another thing
I never hit anybody hard enough to kill them in one hit.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, so another thing that Great Weapon Master does is that, and I've kind of not really been paying attention to too much, is that if I can do something very similar to somebody if I zero them out, not just kill them in one shot, but if I'm the one to kill them, I can then use a bonus action to attack with a full blown attack to somebody else if I kill the first person.
Yeah.
God damn it! God, I was pushing back towards her, like I was pushing the stick back towards her, but he kept trying to bloodhounds dodge away.
Yeah.
And so I just kept staying on the fringe of her attack.
This is the frustrating. This is why I've moved away from Bloodhound Step. You've put your finger on exactly the reason why I have stopped using it.
Yeah.
That plus I think Quick Step is just better personally, but
let's try that.
Because the directional control for Bloodhound Step is kind of like all over the map. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Cheryl's exactly right when it comes to cleave. It's designed so you can mow down all the minions, because otherwise, like having to either the one of the other techniques that I use personally as a DM in our homebrew game is that minions have 1 HP. If you make contact, they're dead.
Yeah.
But mechanically speaking, it's to allow for you to feel like you're just wading through these dudes.
Boy, would Fen benefit from that mechanic. Woo!
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like Fen is like exactly the type of character that should be like the ad clear guy. He should be the guy that goes after the low tier trash ads.
Fen? I don't know. Fen seems like a rushdown for me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, he doesn't do he's not doing the big boy damage that you're doing in one turn. Like he will take several turns to do the same amount of damage, but he will do damage consistently because he gets the 2 attacks and because his roll to hit is he basically gets a huge modifier on that.
So I kind of do Nova damage. I designed my guy to be a long range but like still melee based sticky tank. But it's but the only reason like I'm able to do as much damage as I am is because I can choose to like do a superiority die like maneuver, and that adds a D8 if I land. I can kind of choose to do it after the fact. Whereas so long as you've got your bonus action available to you, you can do a D8 anytime you want. I can only do an extra D8 of damage like 4 times.
Right.
Granted, I am also doing. I also have Great Weapon Master, and I chose Polearm Master, which allows me to bonus action do another attack.
Everyone's favorite feat.
I mean, here's
Polearm Master, yeah.
Here's the thing about my character. First of all, for the last 3 years, I think it's been proven. It's pretty clear. Ranger is sort of the joke class. I think we can agree on this. Ranger is a little bit.
Some of the newer Rangers, like your Ranger, is less of a joke, but yeah, a little bit.
The stereotype about the core class is that it's kind of a joke. Exactly. The book's version of it is supposed to be a lot more like a narrative heavy. Like, if you're playing an outdoor campaign, they're great.
I would say if there is, to the extent that there is a joke class in D&D, it seems like it's the Ranger class, which, so be it. I look at it as sort of like playing on hard mode. That's fine. I will say the characters become much more fun to use now that I've been able to roll the dice more. That's been the real problem because before he was so spongy or so fragile, he would die after 2 hits, and he wouldn't do a lot of damage, and he didn't have the second attack. So at this point, because you guys know what I like about D&D is dice rolling. That's what I want to do.
Cheryl, yeah, Fen is more of a Hexblade build, but it's because I helped him build it, and we did it really early on in our understanding of D&D of this edition.
Cheryl, make no mistake, it's a
God damn it. I mean, Horizon Walker's not a bad build, but yeah, there was a couple things that I thought were going to happen more, and not to mention that I think we're in a setting where it's not really maximized his utility.
The other thing, yeah, it's like not only is it, in my opinion, kind of a garbage build, it's also a garbage class. No offense to people who like Rangers.
I mean, Ranger's mostly thematic.
It's also in an environment, in the context that the character just doesn't really belong in, and it doesn't play to his strengths. which I also honestly don't really care about as long as I get to roll the dice. Give me the dice rolls. I'm happy.
I'll just do this.
That's all I care about.
We're gonna try this.
Not a great build. I also like.
That's
also,
why. Okay,
I come
that makes
from,
sense.
like the video game RPG world, and even though video game RPGs are inspired heavily by D&D, obviously, pretty much all.
Yeah,
RPGs
but they don't work the same way.
by D&D. The mechanics are, in many cases, very, very different. And there were, like, I took Slasher at one point.
That was also because of my recommendation.
Which is proving to, at the time, it sounded like a good idea. It has proven to be
well, I think one of the main draws to it is because it gave you a +1 to your strength or con.
Exactly. That was the main draw at the time. And the only complaint I have with that is there were probably other things that could have given me the same benefit that would give me something that on the side that I could use a little bit more than Slasher.
Yeah.
But, you know, live and learn.
I do think that maybe we should have taken Great Weapon Master for you as well.
I will say the great thing about my character and the fact that I am playing on hard mode with the joke class, it is a little bit like in Dark Souls playing as what do they call them? The naked asshole. The deprived.
The wretched or whatever.
Yeah,
or
wretched or the deprived. Yeah. So it does two things for me. One, it allows me to use that as an excuse when I play badly or fail, which is great. It's nice to have that built in. And it also gives me a great opportunity to do the thing that I love most, which is complain. So there you go. Perfect for me.
The one game mechanic you can't remove.
Yeah, who knew? Like, it actually turned out to be the perfect class for me. So there you go.
I do think that you would prefer to be a fighter mechanically.
Carol's asking, Cameron won't let Fen respec?
He probably would. I think he did offer at one point to, especially Slasher specifically, to sort of get a mulligan on that one. I think I don't personally want to fully respec because I don't think that that's super fair to everyone else. I understand, like, it's really nice that people would allow me to do it, but I think personally I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I think that would be also narratively. I know narrative matters a lot to some of the players and some people watching, and I think that's maybe kind of cheapens the narrative a little bit, so I kind of don't want to do that either. So like I said, as long as I'm rolling dice, I don't really have any real main complaints. As long as people aren't like what I still maintain as a bullshit maneuver to break my magic sword at a time when I was already super underpowered, I think that was kind of garbage. But apart from that, I don't really have any major complaints. Ben's fine. He's all right with me.
You could take Sharpshooter, which is the ranged equivalent of Great Weapon Master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you have that archery thing, which really does a lot to mollify that, like -5 to hit, because you already have an extra +2 to hit anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of stuff. I would be maybe open to switching out Slasher for something else, but again, I don't necessarily want to retcon at all, unless there was like a good reason.
That was my fault.
To respec.
Yeah.
Which, Fen dying and coming back, I think he's already sort of burned that.
Yeah. Cheryl, I think a Hexblade would be a little too fragile. Somewhat. Like, I'm playing a Hexblade right now in another campaign, and I'm really liking using the Spirit Shroud right now, which basically anything within a 10-foot radius, for your information, Ian, there's a spell called Spirit Shroud, which basically just adds an extra D8 melee damage of like either radiant, necrotic, or cold. So basically, it's kind of like having your Horizon Walker ability that you use a bonus action for just on all the time with every attack you make.
Well, here's the thing. I've sort of like shifted my thinking about Fen's role in the group. I think initially the idea was to sort of make him a frontline fighter, which he is still kind of, but in that way he's actually, because he's not like, taking down bosses all by himself and like really doing all the heavy lifting from the damage perspective, he's actually more of a support character. You know what I mean? Like I'd
say he's more of a skirmisher. in and
Yeah,
out.
like he's drawing aggro without getting killed. Like he can, and of course with the pass without trace, like that's super
That
powerful.
has been
So,
super helpful.
yeah, it's been
Super
incredibly
good.
helpful. So it's been nice to
Good.
have that. So he's just improved very slowly to the point where I don't hate his
God
guts
damn it!
anymore.
I went right into it. Oh my god.
But I will still complain about Rangers being underpowered for the same reason I complain about certain bosses in Elden Ring just being straight up immune to certain builds. I think it's a bad design. If you have a class that a person can choose and that class is by definition weaker, I think is not great game design. I think they should that's a weakness that they should improve on. It's kind of my complaint there. So that's all. And to some of your guys' points have noted like Rangers aren't necessarily supposed to be good at combat, right? So
They're kind of like a 3/4, one quarter utility.
yeah, they're not necessarily like. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not having a lot of success combat-wise with Fen, but that's not the only thing that Fen could do. Again, he got passed without trace and became extremely useful, and that's
True.
that's not a combat-focused thing. So it also comes down to the way I'm trying to force him to be played a certain way. So
But
that's
that is,
also
and I think at least in the way that Ranger reads in the core book to me is that it's a game that's also trying to balance the roleplay part and not just the combat. I mean, combat is
And exploration.
Yeah,
It's
but I
roleplay,
mean-
combat, and exploration, and the Ranger kind of really splits its focus between combat and
And this
exploration.
is the thing. I think part of the problem is, as you mentioned before, Nate, the exploration part. I've got a lot of tools for exploration, but very few of them are specifically applicable to what the environment that we're in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't leverage a lot of those innate traits that
and that's
my
also
character has.
that's part of the problem that like I said the core book, but I really mean like Ranger because like the core class before the subclasses is that's exactly right. Is that Ranger is something that as Druids had this to some extent, although they're spellcasters, so they do their utility kind of expands in other ways. Rangers are sort of like expected, like from the jump, to be like the class where it's like yes, you have these out of combat things that make you great at tracking and good at finding certain like enemy types or feature types. But yeah, the problem is like if you
Fuck. That was
that's
crap.
why like a lot of people when they say, "Hey, I'm gonna run this campaign," it's like in space, so these classes just aren't really applicable. They make that kind of part of the deal. Part of it is also just like the campaign setup, right? If they say, "Oh, you can pick any class," but remember you're gonna be on a ship for like 6 months, then picking a ranger is not really a viable idea, just based on how the game portrays ranger from the start. That's not. I don't think that's inherently a problem. The problem I think is that they don't convey very well that like combat in D&D is very popular because it's the board game part, right? It's the part people like because you roll dice and you get to interact. The other problem is that the stuff like the open world, like the narrative stuff that's not combat is there, but it's not often thought about because the board game part is fun. People like the combat in D&D for the most part, but
the funny thing is
it's very setting based.
yeah, exactly. So the exploration part, which I think my character would be great in a different context, like if we were doing like a quest where we were like doing like a Fellowship of the Ring type of thing and traveling a long distance, my character I think would be awesome in that environment. It's also that's sort of the part of the game where the role playing and like the non-combat stuff is done a little bit more. But because my character isn't great
God,
at that part,
son of a
in that
bitch.
context, there's not a lot for me to do.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I'm
god.
doing consistently a quarter of the health in the second phase here.
Yeah. God, this second phase though, because she does her stupid like phantom charge like from up top, and then she goes immediately into the fucking flamingo dance.
Cheryl
too much
asked if we
AoE.
are hunting tomorrow night. Cheryl, I
Oh,
don't
for
think we are.
I think the Thursday hunt was in celebration of the title update. I think Danny might be doing his stream since he didn't do it on Tuesday.
Yes, I believe so. If Danny's still in chat, he can comment on that. I believe so. Anyways, we have planned. But I think Cameron and Hannah are going to a jazz club tomorrow, which is an interesting term and concept. I didn't know that was like a
Jazz club. Yeah, that's a thing.
It wasn't just like places that specialize in jazz.
Hey, speaking of Monster Hunter,
Yeah.
it's not really Monster Hunter. It's a Monster Hunter sort of clone.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any interest in Wild Hearts? You heard
I keep hearing about it.
Today.
And I'm curious, but I don't know much about it.
There's like a build mechanic that's added to it. It's like it's got some like almost RPG-ish and like build and resource mechanics associated with it too. I don't know. It looks very Monster Hunter-y though. Like I was watching a stream the other day and I
Oh god, I switched my art out and I just forgot. I kept okay. Fuck, that was my fault. I thought I still had one of the steps on and I don't. I have fire. Fuck.
Cheryl's asking, what did everyone do for Valentine's Day?
Nothing. Abby and I really aren't big on most holidays. We kind of, I don't know, I guess we're trying to get back in touch with our Gaelic pagan roots and really to celebrate like celestial events more than Hallmark holidays.
Celestial events.
Like, you know, the solstice or the, you know, the equinoxes or something. You know, something that's actually rooted in like a real life phenomenon. That's really cool.
Made it sound like celestial events. That's when I get my camera out. I wait for it to get my camera. Yeah. You know, does it seem like to anybody else that like Valentine's Day has never once been on a weekend?
Right? It's always like middle of the fucking week.
Yeah, it's always like a Tuesday every single year.
I think mathematically it's probably that way because of February's number of days.
Yeah, it's like just never on a weekend. So, which is probably the biggest reason why we generally don't celebrate it in our house. It would need to be more important to celebrate it on a weekday. Like Halloween is like that level where we would celebrate it on a weekday.
Fucking fuck! She just curls around. My
Cheryl,
god.
are you talking about the monster hunts in Wild Hearts?
Yeah,
I've
that
only
must be.
just now heard about it.
BTS tickets.
Yeah,
Do I know what BTS tickets are?
BTS,
is that the K-pop band?
K-pop boy band that everyone.
K-pop.
They're like in a
It's
lot
like
of
the biggest band on
commercials
planet Earth, man.
Is it? I don't.
You probably heard them and didn't know it.
I don't know.
I
don't
probably
know
heard their
how they
music.
know
Yeah.
that word. It's like group. I don't know bands.
But I know them when I see them.
Yeah, I think some of the K-pop bands have like upwards of like 20 people in them or something.
Yeah, I think BTS is like the biggest thing on the planet. That's true, Finn and Poe. Sort of like that's chapter 1, line 1 in the Become a Nazi handbook, I think.
Yeah, I know. A lot of the like northern, like Scandinavian, Nordic, and Gaelic stuff has been co-opted by, you know, the alt-right because white people, which is unfortunate.
But hey, you know what? Fuck the alt-right. Jesus, fuck those guys. Jesus.
Yeah.
God.
Like I want to take it back, but you're right. Like I know I got to be careful with that. But like they don't know why they're doing it at all. In fact, the whole like Viking aesthetic as we know it isn't a real thing. It never existed.
Definitely not a real.
Like if you're thinking like the For Honor type of Viking. Yeah.
Wow, you actually handled that very well. Holy shit.
Nice.
Yeah, can only fuck up so many times before I get a little bit better at it.
You only got hit by one of those exchanges. And you were not in an advantageous position. That was very impressive.
Oof.
It's all right. Use those heals. Who cares?
Yeah. I noticed I was getting a little low on the second phase. I was 2 left. Oh, fuck.
The way I fight her, I just view every attempt as practice. And if one starts to go out of practice, it's like, all right, well, that has to naturally happen.
Yeah. It helps psychologically to treat everything as practice. You never feel like you're failing if you assume, well, I wasn't planning on winning, so.
How I got into Dark Souls in the first place.
Yeah.
In the first game, I took a strength character, and I was like, fuck it. I don't think I'm going to play this for longer than 3 hours.
I don't care if I die.
Yeah, lo and behold.
That's the motto. Don't care if I die. Don't care if I lose my souls.
Yeah, I try not to look at the health bar because the moment it gets close to being like empty, I get nervous, and that's when I start fucking up.
Yeah, it's that.
I honestly think I've been thinking about this. I really think that is the primary barrier to entry for Souls games, and for Dark Souls specifically, is people have to they're trained in other games that dying is a bad thing. Like you're not supposed to do it. Like it's the punishment that happens to you that you're supposed to try to avoid. Where in Dark Souls, you're obviously supposed to try to avoid it, but you're also supposed to die. Dying is the main.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why they put you as an undead.
Yeah, exactly. Like death is the motif. Dying is the whole idea. You're supposed to die a lot. That's the idea.
We
and
need
once you
readjust
your expectations to that, it's much easier to get into it. I find it.
Fuck.
It's been a rough run this time.
Yeah, it's kind of been less than polished.
But hey, you're going in. Looks like with 6 heals, you're gonna do fine. You don't need. You never like use it. You never use 6 total heals in the second phase at all.
Well, because I don't last that long.
Well, exactly. So like, you can still get something out of this run. Feels like this one. It's just there's never a time that's good enough to go in.
Yeah, not really.
Do you have a range attack?
Not on this sword.
You want to put your like flame attack? I mean your faith like sonic boom back on. You could probably hit her from distance there.
I guess I could.
Oh, that was a lot of damage. Get out and heal, bro.
Damn it! No, I
Yeah.
fucked up. I tried to get greedy and stun her again.
Course you
Ugh,
did,
and it's such a
Get
long time between takes here.
Yeah, that's a Souls like for you. Yeah.
Yeah, Charles, I saw
God.
that someone made a 5e translation for the Dark Souls
Well, that's neat.
tabletop RPG.
Ooh,
That's
I would
pretty
play
neat.
the shit out of that. Hell yeah.
5e is a very hackable system. I think there's a lot of. I mean, Lancer, from the little bits I've played so far.
God, I want to play Lancer so bad.
It's good, man. I mean, go on to PilotNet.
Well, I was trying to hold off because if I want to be in either your initial gameplay, so you have a player who kind of knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
But I wasn't trying to spoil the like if you're gonna run Solstice or whatever, I didn't want to ruin it.
Yeah, it's
like,
also
spoil it.
partially why I wanted to do the rando group, is I wanted to see, since like what you said about Wallflower was pretty true. I read through some of it and I was like,
Fuck!
it's fine. But
I'm dead.
The barrier to entry, like I didn't mind reading the lore just because it's vague enough that it's like, as long as you get the big picture, it's good. You don't need to know any names. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see, Solstice seemed a little bit shorter. It's only 2 missions, which is like maybe 4 or 5 sessions. So I may end up running it once I'm through all the spoilers or whatever for that. But like the action economy in 5e and consequently Lancer, I think works really
It's
well.
interesting, sure. I wonder why you think 5e doesn't capture the feel of
I don't
Dark Souls.
either. So I had an idea actually I had
Fuck this run.
a dungeon that was actually inspired by Dark Souls. I was gonna run in my hex crawl campaign that was basically just exactly that. It's a 5e, it's a regular dungeon, but the difference is, the entrance room is the bonfire. Anytime someone dies, if the other players are still in combat, they just get cycled back into the initiative order, and they get all their health and all their stuff back. So it'd be basically like you come back as if you just long rested every single time. But the difference is obviously if everyone is dead at once, the whole thing resets. And that I think that works in terms of bringing the Dark Souls to D&D. I think the reverse is a little harder because Dark Souls is so much more like manic and quick actioned. I don't think that there's really a way to express that. The board game seems to do well. I don't know that a tabletop game does.
Well, the statement is interesting because it makes me think like how, because there is an answer to this. It's fun to think about like what is it that is like what's the quintessential Dark Souls feel? Like what makes Dark Souls feel like Dark Souls? Like because I think there's a lot of answers to that question. Like one of them is first of all the aesthetic. I think Dark Souls looks different than other fantasy games. It's kind of like a fantasy horror game.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like that's the part that doesn't really translate. I wonder if because there's also obviously the punishing death mechanic, and maybe that's hard to do in 5e.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Cheryl's right here in that for
Combat depth, I see.
Dark Souls games, you need combat depth because parrying like the really. Whenever I try to run combat in D&D and most other tabletop games, I try to be not like overly descriptive. I can be long-winded about a lot of stuff, but when it comes to that, I try to it's really easy to be a fighter.
God
or
damn it.
something. In every combat, you're just like, I hit him with a sword, and I hit him again, and then I want to hit him again. It's like, oh, cool, but how are you? Like, what does it look like? What are you doing when you are doing those moves? And I think that Dark Souls, you kind of need that, right? There's this visual element in Dark Souls. Like if someone described just hit for hit without actually saying what she's doing, what's going on right now on the screen, you'd be like, okay, so 2 people are standing face to face, inches away from each other, and just hitting each other with sticks. But if you describe what's happening, that makes it
Knights of the Old Republic or something.
Yeah, it makes it way more like it is a chess game. It's a boxing match, but there's
It almost
there's a
feels
lot
like
of intent. There's a lot of like description and like emotion to the different like types of attacks you're doing, and I think that you kind of need to have that in
Yeah,
something
I
that
think that
emulates
makes
Souls.
sense. The combat comparison, I think, makes sense because ultimately, it's like one of the big, at least at the time when Dark Souls came out, being a action RPG, it was actually kind of new genre
Yeah,
to be an action RPG that had like D&D style leveling systems and stuff. Um, because before that, it was largely like JRPGs and like turn-based, stuff like that. And even like Knights of the Old Republic, as you said, it was people just mainly just standing there trading blows, and whoever had the better build was going to be the winner.
right.
It wasn't like super dynamic. So yeah, I can see that that could be itself
And
hard
that's
to
I think that's something
translate.
that video games always has had that benefit of
Yeah,
having stuff like this, like
real
like
time
right
combat.
there, like the delay, the cool like swishy moves, like
Hmm.
it's also up to the player and the DMs to do that kind of description. I mean, if the players want to, they
True.
can. I do, but to do it as a setting, it needs to be more enforced in like
Yeah,
the core rules, right? Or
you
it's
gotta
like,
you gotta invest in that.
yeah, if you don't do it through just like narrative description that doesn't mechanically make a difference, that's still cool. But if you want it to be a thing where it's like, no, it matters, I think you need to have it in rules where it's like
Well, so
light
to
attack,
answer
heavy
my
attack.
question about what I think makes something feel like Souls to me is, as we've said before, the combat, but specifically about the combat, it is because there's a lot of like third person adventure combat games with melee, like Shadow of Mordor, right? But
Yeah,
Shadow of Mordor is way different than Dark Souls because the combat in Dark Souls is really about, to put it in like fighting game terms, it's like playing footsie.
yeah,
So like it's about getting frame advantage with other humanoid um, enemies. Like if you're really good at Dark Souls, you avoid getting hit not by using a dodge or a shield. You avoid getting hit by baiting out attacks that can't reach you, and then you capitalize on their recovery frames. You know what I mean? Like it's like a
yeah.
fighting game that way. So to me, that's what Dark Souls is. Like that's what Dark Souls combat is. That's the kernel of the game. To me, that's what makes it a Dark Souls game. To me, is the footsie mechanic really.
Yeah,
And I think
it's
that
hard to
is
convey the
very difficult to
timing.
translate to a
Yeah.
TTRPG.
I think you could do feasibly like a Sekiro, just because
God,
Sekiro has
son
such
of a
parries
bitch.
and it has a lot of,
Yeah.
Ah,
the blocking is mechanically important. Those one-on-one fights that it's like a sword versus sword is very easy to be descriptive about and
this
not
is
have to
fucking
like
I would
bullshit.
have
love
a lot of adjectives to describe it. But
sort of part of Cheryl's point, like the parry mechanic and like that kind of stuff. That's one of my major complaints about D&D generally, is that it's also one of the major complaints I have about Destiny is that there's not really a way to actively avoid damage. You kind of have to build into being able to absorb it rather than avoid it.
oh, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Well, and remember that Dungeons and Dragons, aside from the Dark Souls
You
stuff, like
do.
Dungeons and Dragons comes from a world where it's more like Lord of the Rings, right? Where like you've got people who are in these big fights who, not everyone
Oh,
knows how to
fuck
parry,
you. Out of the
and
gate.
but I do think that like if you
Oh my
want to make
god.
a
Oh my
TTRPG
god. Fuck
feel like
this.
that, it's got to be more. It's got to be way more common for those like defensive mechanics to be something everybody can do. Like Dungeons and Dragons is very much like a turn-based party game that you would see more in a JRPG than you would something else, right? Where maybe not everyone is attacking like every turn,
Yeah.
but I agree in that like there is not a lot of damage mitigation across the board, regardless of what class you're playing. And I think
And
that that doesn't always ring true for
that's one
everybody.
of the things that I loved about. That's one of the reasons why I think Sekiro was such a like turning point. I think in third-person action combat because it gave you a reason to play defense and it gave you a way to turn defense into offense, right? So the
Yeah,
parry mechanic is sort of how you get their guard down so that you can start to do damage. So you're playing
right.
offense while you're playing defense, which is just like fucking genius.
And the defending is cool too. It's not
Yes,
like cinematic, but
feels
it's still
good.
engaging.
Yeah, it feels good to do. Like I often will. I've done like sort of, I don't know how to phrase this. Maybe it's like a Nuzlocke run of like the boss gauntlet, which is the limitation being I don't get to touch my control sticks. So all you get is the parry and the attack. You don't get to move uh, forward or backward or left or right. You have to do everything just with the parry or the dodge. if you want to be.
Oh, okay. I was like, when you said Nuzlocke, I was like, so
Son
every
of a
time
bitch,
you die,
I ran into the
you
wall.
I said Nuzlocke in the sense that you're like putting our artificial
Yeah,
boundaries on what you
exactly.
can
Yeah,
do.
not a. It's a
Oh
self-imposed
my god.
Yes, exactly.
thing.
So like I'll do those boss around that boss gauntlet and say like I just have to I don't get to touch the movement stick at all. It's
Yeah.
just parry and the dodge. That's all you get to do, and the jump.
Cheryl, he's mentioned Shadow Dark a few times. Every time I hear him start to say Shadow Dark, I think he's gonna say Shadow Run, and I get that mixed up. Danny, I forgot they're making an Elden Ring board game. I know that they made a Dark
they?
Souls and a Bloodborne one. 'Cause
I mean,
saw
that
them
makes
both
sense
at
then.
PAX. I know because tabletop RPG or not tabletop simulators had the 3D models for the Dark Souls board game for a long time.
I mean, it seems overdue for that, right?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure. Fish, I have told him that he could take a break from this fight. I don't think that is. I don't think
love
that
that
is
Fish is out here
possible
like,
for Nate right now.
maybe you should do something else.
Well, I have not been. I've been getting less and less sleep the last 2 or 3 nights.
Here's the thing.
Same.
For one reason or another.
I defy the chat to make the argument that you are not improving. And I think the biggest measure of that is that you are much more consistently than last time getting to the second phase.
True.
Yeah,
The first phase, now I think maybe it's deteriorating a little bit more now since you are probably now tired. But
I've been tired all day.
yeah, I think
I knew I wasn't coming into this 100%.
I think at this point we might be on fumes, but up until now, it has been much more consistently getting to the second half, which is really the name of the game right now,
Mhm.
so that you can learn the second half. The problem is getting past that sort of that first major like super that she pulls on you in the second half that really just zeroes you out every time.
Mhm.
That's
Well, the
why
fact that she does her supers back to back,
Yeah, she chains them. She's got links. It really
it's
sucks.
bullshit.
I'm taking a
Yeah.
break from Elden Ring for a bit just because I've got so many games that came out that require my attention right now.
Well, Tom, you got to be on like New Game Plus 3 of Dead Space by now, right?
I'm on my second run of
Right.
the remake, which I've been playing. Not like when I
Oh my
did the
God,
first
that
one,
was-
I was dedicated
well,
because I was like, I want
Not as bad as it could have been.
I'm on my last chapter of my second run through where I'm only using one gun, which I've done before. That's
You're doing your own Nuzlocke. Which one is it? The plasma cutter?
Yeah, so the plasma cutter is like the iconic.
Yeah, that's the
weapon.
one.
It is also just the best and most versatile gun in the game.
Tom, I had a question about that.
Yep.
So I've been watching Let's Plays and streams of Dead Space.
Oh.
And I'm curious as to how the plasma cutter actually works, because obviously you can turn it vertical or horizontal, right? So
Yeah.
I wonder, does it work? Is it meant to work like the Skyward Sword mechanic, where if the enemy is straight up and down, like vertical, that you're supposed to use the horizontal version of the gun? Or are you supposed to like match it and line it up perfectly, like and do the vertical version of the gun to hit the vertical enemy? Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so the way the plasma cutter works, like just damage and feel wise overall, is the plasma cutter is basically it's the pistol from Halo 1. It is just an absolute beast of a fucking weapon with a very low like aiming reticle. The way it's supposed to work in Dead Space is they tell you from like the first chapter that you're not supposed to aim for the head like you do in other games. You're supposed to aim for the limbs, right? You go for arms, you go for legs. But the way that you're supposed to use it, or the way that I've always used it, is when a necromorph pops up, the first thing I do is I aim for like the thighs. And what I do is I hit the right bumper to make it go sideways, not because I'm trying to like line it up. I'm trying to go perpendicular to the limb itself.
Like Skyward Sword.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you want it to be perpendicular, not even because it does more damage or anything, but because your aim doesn't have to be like pinpoint precision.
That's the thing. So the crux, that's it. That's the answer I wanted, because the crux of my question comes down to whether, because the reticle, right, the aim, like the laser reticle that comes out of the gun, it comes out in 3 dots. So what I can't tell from watching the Let's Plays is it actually like 3 projectiles, or is it one?
Oh my
like,
God.
Yeah, so
it's
it
always
is
this fucking
one,
move at this phase.
It's one line that gets painted
Holy
by the
shit.
end of one dot to the end of the other dot. And so it's one
not
projectile.
3 projectiles.
Yeah, so the idea in Dead Space is a survival horror game, and that it's kind of like tank controls, but not fully. And so it's supposed to be more about like you're just trying to slow them down because they are a lot faster than you are. So the best thing you can do is take off limbs, and the better you get at it, the better you get at like quickly like snapping to like shoulders and hip joints and stuff. But the idea with the plasma cutter is it is the core mechanic to teach you dismemberment, and it's also one of the best because it's exactly that. It's a box cutter when you need a box cutter. It's not a flamethrower or like a torch when what you
It
really
also
need
just
is,
has like
box.
this satisfying, chunky, like sound and
Yes.
feel to it.
That is the core gameplay loop of just the plasma cutter in Dead Space is like that in and of itself could like sell thousands of copies. That shit is incredible.
It's like the core gameplay mechanic that I like about Destiny. It just feels good. It's got that thing that feels
exactly.
Good.
And
People
there
say
is
that about
the
the axe throw in God of War,
yes, exactly. The axe throw in God of War has that same
or the
like,
swing in Spider-Man or something.
it's simple enough but cool enough that
Oh
people
my
can
God.
get attached to it.
My
There's,
best
like,
run and
core-
my worst run back to back.
That's how it goes.
Oof, yeah.
I got through the first phase with 11 heals and then immediately died
Oh,
because she did her fucking flamingo dance.
Henderson says we all believe in you, man.
Aw.
Well, I mean, maybe don't speak for all of us.
Well,
Believe is a strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe might be a
But-
little strong.
we all got a
suspect-
mild interest in your success, man.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that you might beat her someday. That's about
Someday.
as far as I'll go.
Someday.
Yeah.
Well, partially it's because if we do believe, we'll counteract the.
Yeah, I've got
ID.
crazy talk bullshit rules.
Yeah, if
You
we
gotta-
start complimenting him, he'll do worse.
Oh man, that Sekiro ninja move is very cool.
Yeah.
I'm just oh my
Wow,
god.
perfect.
Yeah, perfect. For
Anybody
some
in
reason,
chat
my
who
brain
recognizes
is like controls. What are controls?
I like to think that Malenia just forgets how to like talk to people. So every time she kills you, she's like, "Oh fuck, I'm Malenia. I'm the Blade of Miquella. What's your fuck? Sorry."
It's out of
Every
social
time.
awkwardness.
Yeah. Like the whole time she's like walking at me, she's like, "Fuck, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say?"
Yeah.
To get back to Fish's point about taking a break from this fight, I think what the Dragon Blaze is referring to is Farum Azula, probably.
That's where I'm at.
So, and that is a definite option, Nate, because that's an awesome place to go.
I think he
eventually will
would
need to
smash
go
through
there.
it. In a,
Yeah,
I think
probably.
if we dedicated like a stream to it, he would smash right through it.
And then you would level up, and you could come back here stronger.
There's some cool stuff in Azula too. Like I'm at Malekith now, and there's some
The
cool shit
fucking
along
bosses.
the way that I wish I would
The
have gotten.
bosses there. I mean, look, the final boss there is amazing. The
Birds.
level
It's got
design, the whole
birds.
area is really fucking cool looking.
Yeah.
So-
Oh god, I will say this: it is one of the few.
Go ahead and
places
jump
in this
up. I know
game
you
that
wanna
really
jump
makes
up.
me wish
I
I
know
had
you fucking want
upgraded
to.
my GPU before I bought
Yeah.
it because the constant tornado
Yep.
is a cool touch.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm playing on a pretty high-end GPU, and
Yep,
boy,
I fucking knew that's what you wanted to do. I
recommend
knew you
those.
were doing that. God damn it.
we're
Yeah, no, I think I came at this about maybe at 50%, and that 50% got me a ways, and now it is all kind of draining out
You
of
want
me.
to take a break and go check out Farum Azula?
Where is that? Can I get there?
So,
Like
You
now?
should be able to. Yeah, you got to go through the snow.
Oh,
the
did I already
area
ask
north.
if you've been to the 4 Belfries yet?
When you say 4 belfries, is that the place with the 4 different bells?
That is the Belfries.
With
yes.
that has the portals
Like
next to them or
Ronnie's
whatever?
Yeah.
I've been
Just
there,
like
and I've gone through at least a couple of them. I don't know if I've done all of them though.
So you may have already been there then, if that's the case.
You can get
Yeah.
there. Yeah, you can get there like on a side way through that one of those portals. But you can get there now, I think, Nick, because you can just go to the right area in the snowfield. I think I should be able to get you there.
Fuck.
Because once you get to the northern snowfield, you can pretty much go there immediately. I don't think there's anything gating you from it. You will have to beat a boss beforehand.
Oh,
Although I
yeah.
don't know if that's actually required. You might be able to just run by. Because he's out in the open world, so
Hmm.
I don't actually know for sure. I don't know because I don't run from fights, Nate.
You're just trying to bait me into it now. See, look at this bullshit.
One and done.
Yeah, just she does it for free. There's no way to punish her for it too because she has that final like super slash at the end, so you can't
Mhm.
stay in on her. It's bullshit design. There's no doubt about that. Anybody who says this isn't a bullshit fight is wrong. It's straight up a bullshit fight.
You know,
It's a fun fight. It's a good fight. But it's a bullshit fight.
it for sure. I think the few times I tried her, I had a lot of fun. Not even really trying to hit her, just trying to do the anime like dodge every attack and then whip the next one and dodge the next one.
I want to remind chat, anybody listening, anybody participating in this, Nate is really like genuinely doing this on hard mode. First of all, his build is not built for this boss. This boss is much more vulnerable to a faster build or a mage build.
True.
So that's one thing. The second thing is he's also not using any summons. He's not using Bloodhound Step right now.
Not using any Runarks.
He's not using any rune arcs, and she's vulnerable to frost and bleed, neither of which he's using. So clearly we have cranked up the difficulty on this a little bit. So
Okay. Blah blah blah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, like right here would be good to have a sonic boom, right?
Yeah, but I don't have a sonic
Henderson-
boom on this guy.
Henderson says, which is why Nate is a better man than I.
Would we call him a man? I don't know.
Tarnished.
He's a tarnished. That's
We're all
exactly what it
tarnished
is.
down here.
He's a tarnished. What does that mean in this world, tarnished? Because like in the previous games, you were like an ash man. You're made of literally of ash.
So I think it's following suit with the theme, right? Because it's Ash in 3 because of the embers, it's undead in 1, and you've got humanity. I think it's tarnished in here because there's so much gold stuff. Like Lanedell specifically is very golden. So I took it to mean, oh, that's why there's so much gold around here, because this is a world that thinks gold has some sort of like spiritual value.
The way she hesitates on that is so dirty.
Yeah.
So dirty.
That's also what
Yeah,
I love
that's
about
an
it,
interesting idea, Tom. I don't know, because it's hard, because like someone being made of ash is sort of like easy to understand.
Oh fuck.
And like obviously Dark Souls 1, you've got the humanity mechanic. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's also so dirty that this move turns into a rot mechanic in this phase.
Yeah. Rot and the,
Oh my
the
god,
vampiric
fucking
heal.
give me a second, would you?
Yeah.
Fuck.
She will not.
So
Oh my god.
Ah. She had
Fuck.
a
God
recoil
damn
thing?
it. Are you fucking serious? I had her at half life.
It seemed like she like
And then
lagged
it went
out.
right back up to full health.
That
Oh
was
my
messed
god.
up.
Like, I'm usually not this perturbed at boss fights or this entire game, but right now,
Hating it.
like, I'm genuinely miffed.
Like, you can take a break.
I'm
You don't
peeved.
feel like you
I'm
have to go all the way
perturbed.
9:30 too. If it's a lack of sleep
true.
issue, don't feel like you
Yeah.
got to do a full 2 hours. Remember,
Ugh.
this is recreational. You are not. Getting
Anderson, you were very supportive, and you're welcome in my audience anytime. I really appreciate that.
30 is the correct word. She went like Super Saiyan on you.
True. Oh, Henderson also
Fuck.
watched Matrix for the first time a few days ago.
Watch what for the first time?
Watched the Matrix, the OG Matrix.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
First time?
Yep.
I'm so
Okay.
jealous. That's
My best run and my
Yeah,
worst
that's
run,
the
back
first
to back.
The last time I
Woohoo!
probably saw it was when we had the DVD of it.
like the 480.
Yeah, that DVD is sitting out in my living room right now, man. Along with the other
that's
two.
right. Yeah, I forgot we have that.
Yeah.
You know, apparently that's like the DVD to own. Just
Is
based
it?
on like special. Well, it's like I guess there's like a list somewhere. I don't keep track of.
No
DVDs,
kidding.
But there's
It's
people
like,
were
we're going to
saying,
try and
"Oh, this
digitize
one
our
is
library, but
own."
if I know there's a collector's value to it, then...
So we're all like Matrix 1 fans, right? I think that's
Oh, Matrix 1 is a great story.
Yeah, I think
It
Matrix 1 is genuinely, legitimately one of the greatest movies of all time. I think that's-
Inspired
Yeah.
by a lot of stuff I like, and also inspired a lot of stuff I like. So.
Yeah, wasn't it Neuromancer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Neuromancer, and after watching it the other day, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of parallels here.
Yeah. I wonder, though, since we all love obviously 1, what's the consensus on 2 and 3? How do we feel about that now that in the silver light of day? Now that we are years removed, I'm going to
Fuck
pretend
off
4 doesn't
already?
exist. If 4 was garbage.
I did not.
Well, 4 was intentionally garbage.
It was awful.
It was intentionally garbage by the Wachowskis because they were trying to be like, I don't want anyone ever touching this franchise ever again.
Kill the
That's
franchise.
fair. I trust them.
Yeah, like that was on purpose.
Henderson saying no spoilers.
Yes, well, no, we will not spoil it.
Yeah,
That goes without saying, but I'm glad you said it. We will not spoil. Just curious, like the overall verdict, don't like.
If
Underrated,
you like
overrated?
the story, 1. If you like kung fu fighting, 2.
Yeah.
If you like big mech battles, 3.
Okay,
That's pretty much
So-
the value I gained from all 3 of those.
I think that's probably fair. I think they tried with the story in the second one. They didn't they didn't stick the landing, I think, is the problem.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we think that they had the full story, the full narrative like hashed out before even
I don't think
starting
so.
the first movie?
I
No.
don't think so. I think 2 and 3 were done together, weren't they? And they just cut
Yeah,
it.
they feel similar than the first one does.
I don't think so either because I think 1 was left open ended on purpose because that was back in the era where like
Yeah.
They didn't know if it was going to succeed or not. They just
right,
knew they put a
could-
lot of
could
money into
leave
this.
an ending to have a sequel, but it was like, do we actually have it written? Like no.
Yeah, so it seems like the sequels were made. They had to come up with an idea for the sequels rather than having an idea, and then because they had an idea, they wanted to make the sequels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the same way they do with Star Wars now, which is like, well, we have this franchise, we gotta make movies out of it. We don't have any good ideas, but we're gonna
Yeah.
make movies out of it.
Woof.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
Just
been meaning to
wanna
ask
Star
about
Wars?
that also. Every time we mention Star Wars on Mondays, Ian, do you actually hear us, or do you just happen to be in chat?
I will not going to reveal any of my secrets.
That's fair.
I have my feelers out in the ether. I can just hear it.
It's,
My
it's
ears
force,
burn whenever
right?
someone mentions Star Wars.
It's a force power of suggestion.
It is. It's a superpower.
I will say I did watch someone play through Fallen Order.
Is that a pun intended? It's a forced power of suggestion?
My puns are always intended.
Thanks for coming to stream, everyone. We'll never be doing this ever again. I watched someone play through Fallen Order the other day, and they weren't taking it seriously. They played with mods, and they played with a mod that turned all the major characters into puppets.
That's
and
good.
I thought that was
God damn it.
increasingly
Out of the
more
gate.
interesting
Out of the gate.
story.
My
pretty
God.
So if we want to talk about Fallen
All right,
Order,
I'm going to get a couple more tries, but it's getting to be
Nope, you
9
kicked
o'clock for
Henderson
you
off.
all.
Bye, Henderson.
What?
That was
Oh.
ragging on you.
Wow.
I'll give a shout out to Fallen Order here for a moment, primarily because Survivor's coming out this year soon. In fact, in April.
Right.
For a second, I thought you were talking about the show. I was like, Survivor's never been
No.
off the air, man.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor, sequel to Fallen Order. I don't think I might be the only person in the group, in like the Arbitrary Hero group, who's even played Fallen Order. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Probably.
So here's the thing, guys. Fallen Order's fucking great.
I don't doubt it.
It's
You said it's Sekiro-like?
Yes, it's like the only Sekiro. The funny thing is, it was in development, but even before Sekiro came out. But it feels very much like they copied the mechanic. It's very much straight up like a one-to-one attempt to do Sekiro mechanics. It's not nearly as good, like it's not as well engineered and tightly designed, but it's still very good. Like 80% of Sekiro is fucking awesome. So,
Oh, God damn it.
I really enjoyed it. I think the mechanics were really fun. I think the
fucking
story's a
damn
little
it.
bit lame, but I don't know. It's not terrible. Actually,
Ugh.
I've back and played it a couple of times now. The story gets better with repeat viewings, actually. So I think it's like we should play it here and put it on Grandmaster mode difficulty, because it's absolutely a Souls-like. It's absolutely challenging.
Yeah.
And it's just in the Star Wars universe with fucking lightsabers. So what could be bad about that?
So what was it? I watched something like a quick short today about how Disney is kind of nerfing lightsabers.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't do deadly damage anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's just kind of disappointing to realize that.
do we feel like they have to do that?
I mean,
Because otherwise it feels like it's verging on maybe OP like Superman style. Like you can't do a successful narrative because there are no stakes. Because if you have a lightsaber, you're a superhero.
I think if you treat them for like the knight, like the actual like knight like sword allegory they're supposed to be, if technology is advancing the way it is, I think they're going to naturally get weaker because we're gonna have better armor, we're gonna have better ways to get around them. Because like in the first few movies, like 4 through 6, they're supposed to be that deadly because that's what they are, right? They are very like intense melee weapons that when they cut through something, they cut through something. But I think, if you treat it like Industrial Revolution type stuff, like eventually they're going to be like, hey, these things are really fucking dangerous. What if we come up with something better than these, or some way to mitigate the amount of like destruction they do?
Well,
I think
here's the thing. To me, like I have immediately less interest in a Star Wars thing if a handful of specific things are not included, right? I want to see
time.
I want to see X-wings. I want to see the Force. I want to see Millennium Falcon. and I want to see fucking lightsabers. Like that's
so episode 7 was fine with you then.
Well, so
because that had everything.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Actually, episode 7 at the time, it was exactly that. Fine, is what it was.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it was going to sink or swim based on what they did with the rest of the story. Obviously, I won't get into it, but it sank hardcore. I will say though that I think the most embarrassing narrative moment in modern Star Wars canon.
Oh God, I pushed the wrong button.
Happens in
I jumped into it. Really?
Yes. Even though I think Fallen Order is a fucking great game, and I think
one more try and then we're done.
The story is actually not the worst Star Wars story that I've seen in recent years. I will say that there is one moment in that game that is objectively the worst moment. Maybe the second worst moment, because maybe the worst moment was when
they just said somehow Palpatine returned.
No, actually,
that's my least favorite moment in all Star Wars history.
The worst moment to me was when they prank called Admiral Huxley and did a "Your Mama" joke on the phone with Admiral Huxley in the beginning.
Did they actually do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. My main qualm with that game is like they bothered to include him, but they didn't put in enough Lep Shido, who is like, objectively the best Star Wars character. Obviously.
I think they did that with a lot of characters. I would agree with you, Tom. That's one of the main characters that they fucked.
I want an Akbar origin story.
But here's the reason why I think that's the worst moment. The reason why that's the worst moment is because I defy anyone to disagree with me about this. The worst thing that the Star Wars writers can do is bring the Star Wars universe to Earth. Right?
Yeah.
So like if someone from the Star Wars universe discovers Earth, right, and comes to Earth, to me, that is the worst thing they could possibly do. And the reason why that moment in The Last Jedi was so bad is because it effectively was taking this Earth joke, this objectively Earth meme joke that we all grew up with, a fucking "Your Mama" joke, and a prank call, right? And like injected that into the very beginning of this scene where this very important character, this moment happens where this character is dying tragically in this opening scene of this movie, and they inject this really ham-handed comedy that's specifically Earth related into the Star Wars universe, and it's so like offensively bad. I can't believe that they did that. It was so.
I think they need to convey the humor through characters more like K2SO.
Yeah.
I thought he was like the last Star Wars character. I thought who like objectively like earned.
Agreed.
The joke.
People always say in the original movies that there was a lot of humor in those, and they're exactly right.
Yeah.
But it came from C-3PO and R2-D2. That's where the humor
Han Solo has a few lines too that
a couple, but they're not like objectively meant to be funny. They're like meant to show him as kind of like the rogue that he is. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
that's the scoundrel character, which I would also. That's the one thing I want in more Star Wars. More scoundrel characters, honestly. I want to see more of the heist.
Is that true? Do they actually have the ET aliens?
Yes, they are. They're the ETs are one of the groups in the Congress.
Danny, sorry, Ian, it is. I love that. It's just canon now that it is happening.
The Lucas verse is all coming together.
Oh god, I hate that. It's the worst.
Isn't it?
Ugh. Get out of here with that shit. I don't mind the Easter egg, just to be clear. If that actually just is an Easter, like that's in there, that doesn't bother me. But if that were actually true and they were trying to bring it into Earth, oh my god, no thank you. Hard pass.
I can do that.
This is an awesome run, Nate. Doing great.
This is the one.
Just like all the jinxes.
Yep. This is the
This
one.
is the shitty move. You got good
Beth,
distance on this one, though.
Beth,
All right, here she comes.
Beth times 1,000.
You got lots of heals. Yep. Excellent.
Oh God.
You're okay. You're living. Concentrate on heals.
That did get me thinking, though. I think you know what I want from.
God damn, twice in a row.
Yeah.
I've talked about Star Wars like side stories a lot. I don't read
God,
them,
son of a bitch.
books or any of the other stuff, but I like Rogue One a lot. I seem to like the side stories
my
and side
God.
characters.
Oh, I love Rogue One. Yeah.
I
agree.
want Fury Road in Star Wars.
Like Mad Max.
Yes. Think on that for a
Fuck.
second,
Well,
because
like, what would it be like on Tatooine again, like a more desert?
so no. So by Fury Road in really what I mean is Fury Road in space. I like the scoundrel characters, not just Han Solo, but like Dash Rendar is not really one, but there's some in some of the side stories and things.
Fucking
I
shit.
like the
Fuck.
people in Star Wars.
Oh man, she
That
got
was-
so much health back. Look how much
Yeah,
health
I
she
know.
has.
When she does that fucking flamingo dance, god
Yeah.
damn.
Your rot was already
She gets like at least a quarter of her health back.
So I agree.
And then
like
I got the
that
rot and that was it. That
easier
was my best
kind
run
of,
though.
Like, that anti-hero idea in Star Wars is really cool. and like
Yeah.
Solo does that really well.
I just I like more of them, and I'm not saying that like the Jedi stuff has I think run its course as far as it's gonna go. Not to say that we can't see more of it. I just think it would be cooler through the lens of Mandalorian does a good job with that. Mandalorian's all about
Yeah, it does.
The,
I will say,
the
so it looks like
non-evil.
Nate is definitely done.
Yeah, I don't have much left in me, although I will say that was my best run, so I don't
great run.
mind calling it on the best run, I guess,
Well,
today.
these are also streams where we're doing solely Malenia, so I don't think we need to do 2 hours of it either.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
totally up
Ugh.
to
You
you.
could
I'm
also
just-
leave, Nate, if you'd rather. You can leave and do Fair Missoula or something else, or we can.
Nah,
talk.
I think I'm good because I haven't had dinner, I haven't slept well in 3 days, and I'm just sort of not at my peak game.
This is
But
you're
I
like a
am
half
seeing
hour
the light at
past
the end of
where
the
I would
tunnel.
go.
This does have a happy ending because I got her down to half health a couple times now, which is way better than what I did last week or the week before, really.
You clearly can beat her. That's not a question.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I can see it at the end. I could see myself. It's just I gotta find a better way to deal with her fucking supers. Like her one super, or she's projecting. That's not bad. Like I can actually deal with that so long as I, tied, But I keep forgetting she has an ending slam at the end there.
So I will say there are a few ways we can tackle this. One, we can, lab it. You and I, like we did for Demon of Hatred when we really worked it out and figured out what the real strategy should be. We can do that, and we should do that. The other thing you could also, there's a lot of other things like outside of that you could do. You could do a rune arc. You could do quick step. You haven't tried quick step yet. I think you'll like quick step if you try that. You haven't done a bleed or a frost attempt either, so you can also do that. So we've got a lot of headroom to work with to get better. So I think that's why you've clearly demonstrated you can beat her. You haven't even done
I have discovered that lightning, although it doesn't seem to do if not marginally more damage than having additional damage type, it does seem to break her more often though when I have it.
Okay, so maybe it does poise damage.
It does. Maybe it does poise damage, and then also the OTG stuff that I do after I break her and do a critical. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hit. So I'm well on my way to breaking her again.
It gives you a cycle. That's good.
Yeah.
Fish says bring me in.
Fish, I'm not I have some pretty personally strict rules for this because I don't want to do. Yeah, no. I don't do summons. I'm not doing assists. I'm kind of don't want to work anywhere outside what I'm using now because I'm determined to skill through this and not.
I think he's still scarred from the Nameless King engagement.
That might be it. Yeah, I kind of always I won't say I regretted it, but I'm always I could have done this. I could have done this.
So this is a believe in the build scenario. We're believing.
Yeah, I gotta believe in my build and myself, and all my friends, the heart of the cards, all of it.
Yeah. All of your friends who do not believe in you.
Exactly.
Alternatively, proposition.
Yeah.
You got a Daigoer.
What?
You gotta just parry every single, just every single one. Get down to 1 HP, and all of a sudden just block, 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 block.
You know what? Forget what I said.
KO.
Do that. I like that.
Do that.
Just do that.
Yeah.
I would
that's
not be
way
surprised if someone has something somewhere where it's like a shield or something that literally blocks like 90% of damage, and they just hit her with big swings.
Yeah, you do that. That's not believing in the build, but hey, it's an option.
It's
an
not.
add-on.
That is a nuke it
the opposite of believing in
bucket
the build.
option. Yeah.
But okay, so before we leave, I'll just leave the rest of the team with this. Tom, you were giving us your idea of what you want to see in a Star Wars. I am totally behind that. What I want to see in a live-action Star Wars is gray Jedi.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Ahsoka is going to be.
Yeah.
I want Jedi with blasters.
Yeah, no, I think
What I mean?
Ahsoka's going to get her own series, and I think she is a gray Jedi by definition.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see who's the one from Rebels, whatever the kid's name was.
Oh God, I can't remember.
I only know his name through other people, but I do too. I want to see more utilitarian. I want to see like what is the equivalent of Street Samurai in Cyberpunk. I want to see that.
Nah, Henderson's is a good supporter. Appreciate you very much.
But yeah, so there you go. That's we talked about a lot today. Thanks for dying a lot, Nate, so we could have another podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Danny says that's enough Star Wars for me. I'm out. Fair enough, Danny.
Yeah, fair enough, dude. Have a good stream tomorrow, man. Anyway. I'll see if I can't try and catch some. I'm gonna try and clean the apartment pretty thoroughly tomorrow before Abby gets back, and we'll maybe I'll just tune in, get you going in the background.
He has to clean it up before she comes back, otherwise he's in trouble.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
No, it's just my threshold for like I need to clean this and hers is different, but I know hers better now, and I know for a fact that I am well below that point.
My threshold is the difference between messy and dirty. Once it crosses over into dirty, that has to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Messy, I can live with messy sometimes. That's okay.
Yeah.
So,
all right, everybody. We appreciate you very much and all the support. We'll be back here next Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll practice a little bit more, but I don't know. I got to thread this needle. I can't get too good between now and then because then it won't be any fun. And I also don't want to get so good that I could kill her at any point and then I just let her kill me. That's kind of
love the optimism that you think it's possible that you're in danger of getting too good.
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm always overly confident about everything I do in life.
Yep.
Irrational
confidence.
Thank you all once again, and we will catch you all next week, Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. Miss it.
Catch y'all later.
Y'all later. Back.
Later.